Welcome back to Cheche, the program where opinion counts. Court Principal and Senate Minority Leader Moses Wetangula is today's guest. Before the break, we discussed his political future, given the electoral offences he was found guilty of earlier this year, voter bribing in the 2013 general election. And to round up that conversation, you say that you're comfortable, you're sitting pretty, but do you think that you should resign, given that if you've been found guilty by 3 courts of electoral malpractices, that you don't meet the standard of integrity for a leader?
Absolutely not. I mean, it's my position has been and will always be that I did not bribe anybody. The court thinks differently. Then what follows is for me to be subjected to, because bribery is not a civil matter, it's a criminal offense. If anybody thinks that this was done, then a criminal prosecution can follow. And when it follows, I have an arsenal of defense and other constitutional and legal interventions that I'll unleash on the matter and fight it.
So what do you make of the finding by the Supreme Court about that election offense? Is it all in vain? It has no input, it has no destination?
What I make of the Supreme Court is that they upheld the finding of the trial judge, and like what the trial judge did, they have furnished the DPP with their finding, fully aware, like the trial court was, that this is not a matter that ends at a civil trial. This is a matter that must go through a criminal trial if necessary. And this will now be a matter of evidence with a different standard of proof, with my ability to cross-examine witnesses on a narrow agenda and charge of crime. And that is where the finding will come. And assuming that the finding ends up in what those who embrace the hyena philosophy are going.
The hyena philosophy being?
Of water dropping off so that they can be able to have a feast. You know, the hyena following a human being thinking the swinging hand is going to be dinner. You know? If that ends up that way, then the law says, and David quoted it very well, you miss the subsequent election. What was my subsequent election after March 2013? The 19th December by-election. That is the election I would have missed. Which is
in contention between yourselves and between yourself and
because
David.
Because he didn't miss it.
Yes. There's no subsequent election other than that one for me.
Well,
so let's come to the politics of it, because you claim that Jubilee, the Jubilee establishment is trying to revive this case. For what? To what end?
You know, many of these are matters of conjecture. This matter was moot, so to speak, and nobody was talking about it. The day I said that the president has been in constant violation of the Constitution and an impeachment process is desirable, the next week it popped out. It may be a coincidence, but in politics there are no coincidences. There are very clearly choreographed and conspiratorial processes that people undertake. There is no doubt in my mind, Uduak and your team, that we are in a political arena with all manner of intrigues, and foolish is the politician who doesn't see conspiracy in many happenings around him or her, because politics itself is a conspiratorial arrangement where people come together, scheme, plan, execute, and I would not be an exception to such maneuvers and such schemes.
But how is it that all you politicians, whenever you find yourselves in some kind of trouble, particularly with the law, you claim politics? So you serve the law when it is convenient for you, and when it is inconvenient, you cry politics.
We've spent the last 15 minutes talking about the law, and I've been explaining very clearly, in my view, what the law says and what my avenues in law are. This is an addendum to the explanations we gave that, you know, in my community we say, if a hen wanders off to the bush and is grabbed by the fox, you first of all, save the hen and then blame the fox. The fox here is obvious. We know who the fox is in my case. And what I want to say
is the fox? It's not obvious to me.
Yeah, it's obvious. The fox in relation to CORD is Jubilee, and the fox in relation to Jubilee is CORD. I mean, we're in a contest. I'm not just... I'm sure if the same thing happened to somebody else across the Rubicon, they will try to put a political nexus. I'm not fishing in the dark or in deep waters. Neither am I whistling in the dark. But I'm saying, and everybody else is saying, that these are Jubilee maneuvers to undermine our coalition. And I wouldn't dismiss it offhand.
But you, the question, you yourself have said there's something pending, because the Speaker is supposed to do something, which will trigger the matter to the IBC.
This matter was moot. This matter was quiet until I came up with what I have just said, and then people picked it up and started singing, pulling out the orchestra in funerals and saying all manner of things, and here we are. I don't want to look for excuses. I believe in the philosophy that when you have a problem, look for a solution, don't look for who to blame. But that doesn't mean that you cannot acknowledge that there's somebody to blame.
Do you think that it was also a failure of strategy on your part, given that you're the only principal, CORD principal in Parliament, that you should have paid more attention to your position, the lay of the land, that you're on shaky ground with this election petition, the various rulings, the fact that the Speaker hasn't gazetted the report? And so perhaps when it came to this idea of impeaching the President, you probably should have taken a back seat and let others within the coalition push that agenda?
I am a leader, and I lead CORD troops in Parliament, in both houses. It will be an abdication of responsibility for me not to discharge what I'm expected to do as a leader. That's number one. Number two, I would resign, retire, and go home if any act or omission I undertake in politics is based on the convenience of the day or the fear of the unknown. Because I speak my mind in accordance with the protection I enjoy in law, under the Constitution, and the facts available to me at any one time. If, as a leader, you think of how an action that you think is right is going to impact on you personally, then you have no business leading, because I do not speak for myself as Wetangula, or Weta as my fans call me, the senator for Bungoma and the leader in the House. I speak for the coalition. When I speak in Parliament, my co-principals, Raila Odinga and Kalonzo, are not in the House. I speak for myself, for them, and for our coalition. When I am flanked by 35th members of Parliament to address the nation and address the media on a pertinent issue, I'm not speaking as an individual, although my individual issues also count. I speak for the coalition.
But isn't it convenience of the day that you're now with CORD? Because the people you accuse of trying to destabilize you, reviving old matters, were your erstwhile allies.
Everybody has been everybody's ally in this country.
Right, so I'm talking about you, though, because you've eschewed convenience. Yes. You've eschewed convenience.
Yes.
But isn't it convenience that finds you in CORD?
It is not convenience. It's a matter of principle and choice. I had a choice to be anywhere else. I chose to be in CORD because I see that as a coalition that espouses what I stand for, what I believe in.
Which is what?
All the direction we want the country to go. You've been hearing us, the war against corruption.
Okay.
We have been very steadfast on that. The war against nepotism and ethnic exclusivity that Jubilee is practicing. In fact, it's part of their official script, where they pull together two communities and blend it with one or two from here and there and say we have a united nation. That we don't stand for. We stand as a coalition for a vibrant, economically stable country. You can see what Jubilee has brought this country to. The economy is on its knees. We stand for respect for the rule of law. You can see what Jubilee are doing, even as the ICC is part of our judicial recognition. We are signatory to the Rome Statute. We domesticated the Rome Statute. So the ICC court is part of our judiciary. You can see what they are doing, total disregard for the rule of law and respect for the judiciary. We can enumerate over and over.
So what would you get right then if you were president, given that you have said that you want to contest in 2017?
I will do many of the things that Jubilee is not doing. I'll make sure that there is zero tolerance to corruption. It marks hypocrisy when you see the president saying, we are going to go to the bottom of the scam in NYS, and the minister who has been accused by everybody sitting there smiling.
But yourself, you are in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs when corruption was rampant there.
Corruption was never rampant there. There was an allegation, and Mutai, you have asked me, Mutegi, you have asked me this thing every time I've appeared here, and let me repeat it for avoidance of doubt.
Yes.
Because I always see your tongue in the cheek when you say this. There were allegations of impropriety in the acquisition of an embassy premises in Japan. I was minister. I confessed to the country that I knew nothing about that process. But as a responsible Kenyan and an adherent to the rule of law, and you can go and ask Mzee Kibaki, he's there, he's in retirement. He did ask me to leave office. I went to him and told him, my president, I want to leave office so that these investigations can be carried out until we reach a conclusion. They were carried out, I was found blameless, and he invited me back to his government to serve him as foreign minister. I hope this is the last time you're asking me this question, because I've answered you so many times about it.
But the matter is still in court.
Yes. The matter is in court. I'm not discussing it. I am not in court. I'm sure you're aware of that.
So these are the things that you do as President Wetangula. You've talked about the things that...
zero tolerance to corruption.
Is there anything you think that Jubilee is getting right?
Wow. What have they... It is... I have to search myself thoroughly. It's like looking for a pin in a haystack. You know, I can't see any.
Can't see any.
I can't see
Does
any.
that have to do with opposition politics?
Yes.
Opposing for the sake of opposition?
It is not just a question of opposition politics. I don't know if yesterday you read Macharia Gaido. He wrote some article about the Jubilee leadership. Yeah, Mashujaa Day. And many of the things he said were very right. You know, if you look at, because what is the vibrance of a country? A ticking and working economy. It percolates down to everybody, puts money in the pockets of even those who struggle on the streets. When in our history you look at where we have come from, apart from the time when Mzee Cheche, when he was in the treasury, figuratively said, gentlemen, I can't do much more, the granary is empty. This is the first time in the history of our country that the minister in charge of the treasury comes out and says, we have no money. And indeed you can see, Jubilee came out with very extravagant programs that I lauded, that they were going to tarmac 10,000 kilometers of road in the country. And they rolled out what they described as an annuity program, where contractors...
Let's be clear about what the minister... let's be clear about what the minister said within the context of having no money.
Yes.
What are you quoting?
Let me finish what I'm saying first. They said, you know, you have good roads, the economy will spin. Today, they have said the annuity program has been shelved. There's no money to run it. The Minister for Finance told a committee of Parliament that there's no money. We want to take it...
The Treasury Cabinet Secretary.
The Treasury Cabinet Secretary, which is still a minister within our context. He said there's no money. We don't have to analyze that. We take his statement for what it is. He said what he meant and meant what he said. There's no money. And look around and see. Start from the institution where I work, Parliament. It's completely on its knees. Programs are not running properly because there's no money. Look at counties.
Because the money is going to your salaries and your seats.
Look at counties. Salaries have always been paid. It's not anything new. Look at counties. Last week I was talking to several governors and they had not received their disbursements for 3 months. How do you expect them to run? Look at projects that we thought were going to take off immediately. Projects that had been brought to near start by the Kibaki regime. LAPSET. We keep on talking about LAPSET. Nothing is going on. Standard gauge railway was to go all the way to Kampala. Bringing the standard gauge railway to Nairobi or to Naivasha is not going to achieve the goals that we intended to achieve. Nobody's talking about how it should go all the way to Uganda to change things. Look at the...
Let me help you. Schools.
Teachers. Teachers have been on the streets looking for money to boost their salaries. The court said pay them. But the court subsequently said their strike was not lawful, didn't mean they vacated the order for the teachers to be paid the 50 to 60%. Up to now, nothing. All you are faced with is some arrogance that is of an unprecedented level from the CS Education, who is constantly issuing threat upon threat to teachers. Look at the promises on laptops to students. Where are they? Look at the extravagant promises that they were going to irrigate 1 million acres to produce maize in Galana. Where is it? We can count on and on and on. I'm unable to count anything that they have done that I can stand up and be proud of.
Okay.
But that we are still a nation is something that I'm quite happy about, because we must stand together. Look at their mismanagement of a process that is legal. Do you really believe that these so-called prayers are helpful to William Ruto and Joshua Rapsal? I say not. And the judges of the court have said as much. We cannot, if I have a case in court as an individual, I cannot then go and whip sentiments of people to go and engage in what looks like prayers, in fact when they are not prayers but political rallies, and abuse everybody and then anybody in sight and say you are helping. You are not.
Right. This is what our viewers are saying in response to the question I asked, your political future. Wetangula is very good in answering questions and also evading the truth. That came from Wangi in Kirinyaga. But Joe Odundo, I'll go to Mulandonome Oscar. Senator, is your motion of impeachment of the president not meant to save Ruto, because the constitution allows the DP to take over as president when their term is midway? So as President Ruto, he'll be in a better position to defend himself.
Can I answer that?
Okay, answer that quickly, and then we'll go to a few more.
If Ruto became the president upon an impeachment process which is legal and constitutional, that doesn't absolve him from the criminal responsibility at IEBC. You know President Bashir of Sudan?
ICC.
At ICC. Yeah. You know President Bashir of Sudan?
And Kenyatta was there.
And President Kenyatta was there as a serving president. So Oscar Mulondanome, I know him, is somebody I know.
Okay. Okay. Weta is a visionary leader, brilliant, and has Kenyans at heart. We're sure his political future is bright. But Philip, Wetangula has been in the government until 2 years ago. Let him stop criticizing the same government. And Joseph in Ruiru, Senator Weta is the right president of this country. Wetangula is our hero. Our eyes on you. We love you so much. Senator, we know you're a presidential threat to Jubilee government, given that you have Luya votes of 4.5 million. I think David might dispute that. We support you. Uhuru failed this country, and that came from Kamau in Mombasa. So that's what our viewers are saying.
The Luya is not vote as a unit.
Right.
You know, those are pigeonholed opinions that are not fixed, Mutegi. Okay. Politics is a dynamic process. The events of yesterday are not the events of today or tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So we'll take a break now. This is Cheche. We're live on Citizen TV. We'll be back after this break with Senator Moses Wetangula.